everyone, and welcome back to Talk It Up. Today's guest, Wade Mcmahan.
Oh, you got it.
Yeah, how you doing, my guy?
Good. How you doing?
Were you nervous I was going to mess it up?
I was like, I'm curious. What is he going to say? Like,
what if I just made up one? I'm like, Wade Wiener.
Bell. Wiener. No.
Oh, it's that kind of podcast.
Yeah, no, it's not.
How you been, brother?
Good. I actually just did a video shoot this morning, and I was like, oh man, I got to be on a podcast. So everybody was there, like, what do you mean? I was like, I got to get home so I could like clean up a little bit.
Hyped up for it?
Yeah.
What was the shoot for?
It was for actually the Bean at Josefina's,
the restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
So there's two now, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We're doing the new one.
So what is the new one? I keep hearing about that. I've been in the original one. So there's a whole new thing that's the same thing. It's different. What is it?
It's different. It's a different vibe, actually. It is like it's like a restaurant, full restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the other one does serve food, but it's more of like, instead of the study vibe, the morning vibe, it's more of the hangout. Let's watch a band.
It's in Mesilla, right?
Yeah. Okay. It's right down, right beside the church, right there.
So when you say shoot, fill the people in. What do you do for a living, and what kind of shoot were you doing there? And if you say murder, the kind of shoots I like are like bam, bam.
You know what? I feel nervous now too. Like these days, I'm like, when people ask me, like, "What are you gonna do?" and I'm like, "Oh, we're gonna go do a shoot."
Yeah,
we're gonna go
you can't get away with that anymore.
Yeah, I know, right?
We're gonna film a session. That's better. Yeah,
we're gonna, instead of film a shoot,
yeah,
we're gonna film a session.
So what do you do, and what kind of things were you doing this morning? Fill us in.
Okay. This morning I was cussing at a piece of metal that was not fitting another piece of metal to build a 18-foot jib. And if you don't know what a jib is, it's a freaking crane system that you put a camera at the end. You need an operator. You need a focus pull. You need a bunch of crap, and it just was not going my way this morning. So.
And it's for is it commercial?
Yeah, it's for a commercial. Yeah, so I was just like, motherfucker. I was pissed. Like, well, you literally saw me out there with a hammer, a screwdriver, and whatever else I could bang on this thing.
Is it just like malfunctions on the set or what?
No, yeah. It happens all the time. Like, a lot of people think, oh, no, the movie looked great. And I'm like, no, there's a lot of crap that went on
behind the scenes, huh?
Yeah.
I filmed a commercial one time for I worked at Nissan here in town, the dealership.
Hang on, is that the one on Main?
It's just called Nissan of Las Cruces now. It used to be Jackie for the longest time.
Yeah.
But when I worked there at Nissan Las Cruces, they had just the Rogue One movie was coming out for Star Wars, and then Nissan sells a Rogue. So we filmed a commercial. They filmed a bunch of them, but the one that I was in was a Star Wars themed one, where I was like at a desk and I was selling a car, and then out of nowhere the customer starts humming. Like the Star Wars theme song, dun, 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 dun. And then I hear him and I look like I'm gonna get upset, and I start humming it too, and then we both like at the same time, dun, 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 and we start, and then it busts into like a Star Wars thing, and it's like Rogue coming this summer or whatever.
I fully appreciate those kind of moments right there. Like comedy is the best.
Yeah. And the guy had wrote it, but I remember him. I just like to joke around a lot. And that's how I was as a salesman anyway. So when he was like, I just want you to hum along and then it will go into thing. And I'm like, we did a few takes, and I'm like, we got to make this more dramatic. Yeah. Because they wanted me to like be into it. And I'm like, what if I'm not into it? And I'm kind of like disgusted that he's doing it.
Yeah.
Or like make a weird face. And that way they assume that I'm going to like be like, what are you doing? And then I join in, and that'll be the humor part. And they're like, yeah, do that. And then that's the take they went with.
Oh, so you took over the commercial.
Yeah, I'm kind of a savant at
oh, you
Star
know
Wars
what? Hey, if I was on set and you took over the commercial, I'll be all fine, man.
I didn't take over the commercial. So you're paying me out to be like that asshole guy.
I'm kidding.
I mentioned it, and they were like, great idea.
No,
otherwise I would have.
Actually, no. I think that makes a good director. Honestly, if you take the time to listen to everybody on set, everybody, like even like trying to push through like to people that are trying to do as much as they can, and they're tired, they're thirsty, they're hungry, they've been on set for hours and hours and hours. But if you're a good director, you'll acknowledge that. Yeah. And then you'll just, it's good to take other people's opinion, criticism, constructive criticism, of course, not somebody that's all, hey, you fucking suck. I don't know why, but you suck.
This isn't Hollywood, man. You don't get to make those kind of demands.
Even Hollywood, they're nice.
You think so?
No, I know so.
Wait, who's nice?
Some people. Not
There's
all
some
of them.
assholes, bro. There has to be.
Yeah.
I just watched that Johnny Depp Amber Heard shit. I know they're not all nice, man.
No, I'm talking about the actors, man. I'm talking about the homeless people that keep trying to crash the freaking set.
Oh, those guys were nice?
Yeah. No, they start yelling at you like, how dare you kick me off this set? I'm like,
oh, Jesus.
who are you?
So this one that you were filming this morning, so do you produce it? Do you do just the engineering? Like, what's your role in the whole thing?
On this one, there was a team of us. There was about 4 of us that did it. We did from the very beginning. We sat down, we wrote the script with the owners and everything. Cool guys, definitely. I recommend the Bean because just the vibe they put out and everything.
It's a fun place, yeah.
Yeah, it is. And that was my first time meeting them. And like, I love it when I go and do the first reading with people or do the first just idea, like throwing out ideas, just the first meeting, and just kind of getting the feel for people you've never met in your life. And they were really open. And by the end of the set, man, we were joking about some raunchy stuff.
Like the owners too? Like they were in on the...
Yeah.
That's got to be a fun vibe though, because nobody wants to be on set where it's like tensiony. Like you want to have some fun with it.
Yeah, you want to loosen up. You want to just like... It's better for everyone to get along,
So
honestly.
when you go into something like that, do they have a set idea on how they want it to go, or they're expecting you to come up with that?
No, most of the time they do. Basically, the role you play is the kind of bring it back to reality type role, or how are we going to do this? Kind of logistical role. So they got an idea, and you're like, all right, this is how we can perform your idea. And at least that's what I assume everyone does. But yeah, that's basically it. I mean,
have you ever done one where they were like, you just weren't cutting it? They're like mad at you guys, and you're like, dude, screw this job.
Actually, no.
No?
We've had a disgruntled person, but it wasn't...
Disgruntled, that's the word I was looking for.
Disgruntled, but it wasn't over our quality of work. It was basically over our trying to appease the person, because honestly, he was just asking for a lot.
Yeah.
And we're going beyond what we're paid to go, and we're trying to make your dream come true. And he's like, oh, everything's great, but...
And he would throw something in at the end.
Yeah, he'd throw something in the end. And it wasn't nothing about like, it was something that like, I should have looked better. I'm like...
Wait, himself?
Yeah, I'm like, well, whose fault is that?
I think you need to call your mother and your father.
If you wanted to look better, we could have hired like a makeup artist or something. Like that was in the budget.
That's like one of my running jokes. I just thought it'd be that, or it made me think of that. Anytime someone, because I got picked on a lot as a kid, which is how I got kind of witty, and I would always have like some on deck jokes.
You
or
gotta
whatever.
have that comeback. You're like, hey.
And so anytime anyone would make fun of something about me, like I'm really white, I have no hair, or like red beard or something, I would just like, thanks a lot, Dad.
Bro, did you just like describe me?
Yeah, you. I'm giving you jokes right now, man. But at the end of it, I just be like, thanks a lot, Dad. And like it just make everyone laugh, and then we'd move on. That was like my go-to forever.
You know, that's the best way is like kill them with kindness.
I think kindness for sure, but also humor. I think humor is very underrated nowadays because we live in a society where it's very easy to offend someone.
Yes.
And so it's like it takes away. And as I'm not a stand-up comedian or anything, but someone who's comedic in nature, like I think the things that hurt me the most in life, I've been through a lot of bad stuff. I find a way to joke about it because that's what makes me feel good.
Yeah.
And I find, not that I want to decide what's best for everyone else, but sometimes like if you pick your moments right, you can make something funny and there's like a good moment in that. But it's hard because nowadays it's like you got to really, really pick your moments and like who you joke with and how you do it. Because I could say something and they'll like it could be the most offensive thing.
Do you remember you ever watch South Park?
Oh, I love South Park.
Principal PC.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I think of these days. Like every time I'm saying something, I'm like, Principal PC. He's there.
It's funny how much South Park nailed like ahead of their time.
I know. It's like The Simpsons.
Yeah, Simpsons nailed a bunch of stuff too.
Yeah, they're kind of creepy in a way.
Yeah.
How much they nailed.
Yeah, it is weird.
God, they even nailed my mom.
Thanks a lot, Simpsons. Your mom's in the Yellow Guys, huh?
Man, I need to drink some water.
I like to think that freedom of speech and in the non-traditional sense, because I like to get too political, but the ability to say what you feel. I think intent matters. We're talking about joking earlier. I can kind of tell when someone's joking. If you said something that offended me, but you were joking, regardless if it offended me, if I can tell that you're joking, I don't take it personal because it's like, and again, maybe that comes from growing up so bad that you kind of have to make fun of everything. So when someone says something Like I'll give a random example. I've lost multiple family members to like a heroin overdose, right? Or some of it was alcohol, like different people. But I've lost a lot of family members to overdoses and substances. And I know that's going to like make me feel sad. Even when I watch movies, when they shoot up or they do stuff, like it makes me feel some type of way. But I know now if someone jokes about that stuff, it doesn't bother me at all. In fact, I joke about it sometimes in advance because I'm like, once I joke about it, like it kind of loosens it up and anyone could say whatever and I feel good about it.
Yeah.
But it's like taking that thing that hurts the most and finding some way to like embrace it, to take it back, almost take the power back, like I think is amazing. And that's why I always promote people to be comedic, but also just to be understanding. Intent matters. If someone's offending you, does that say more about you or does that say more about what they said or what they did?
It could be a personal matter too. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like you could say something that could be 1 in a million and that one person is actually in the room.
Yeah, I can make like a Smurf joke and then you can afterwards be like, hey man, when you brought up Smurfs, like I used to watch that when I was little. And my dad used to smack me around because I watched Smurfs too much. You know what I mean? And then
I was like, where's this going, man?
My dad used to Smurf me. No. But you gotta say it like, you could be like, I hate that. When you brought that up, it took me like, and I would apologize, but as long as you knew, like, man, you clearly were joking, man. It's not your fault. But I wanted to give you a heads up in case it happens again. I'm cool with that too. But you have to be careful, like when you go too far, because you don't want to take other people's ability to live away. Like, you don't know, like. I guess I'm biased though because I'm the guy that offends a lot. So.
Oh yeah, you and me both, man.
You're
honestly,
offensive?
Yeah. When I
You're offensive. You like how I asked that? Clear up to the people how you're offensive, Wade.
Well, I'm offensive in a way. I guess I don't give a crap how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't do the job, then get the hell out.
So you're one of those.
Yeah, I'm one of those because I grew up. So I grew up in an industry of like all my family played music.
Okay.
So I grew up in an industry of musicians.
Mm.
And back in the 80s, musicians were doing drugs and everybody is like wild and you're just a little kid at this party. You don't know how many people are on meth, how many people are doing cocaine, how many people are like, just wild.
Why are dad's friends always doing backflips?
Yeah. I remember
it's because they're coked out, sweetie.
I remember one time I was a little kid and I convinced my dad to let me ride in the right below where the gas pedal and brakes are.
Oh, geez.
And let me control the brakes and gas pedal without seeing anything.
And you guys did it?
Yeah. Well, he was drunk. He let me do it.
So when you say convinced, did you just ask once?
I have no idea. I can't remember too much, but I do remember being on the floorboard going, God, man.
Bro, no one's going to get arrested. It's fine.
No, well,
statute of limitation.
Nobody's going to go no one's going to dare to try to arrest my dad.
He's still out there right now with kids.
He's a
pedaling.
Vietnam vet.
He only has kids push his pedals.
No, he has this little thing at the gate, and you still got to drive a ways into his.
So he's gonna know if you're
property.
on the way.
So he knows right away, and like, man, he's loaded.
Did you guys get very far with you pushing the pedals?
Yeah, we drove all the way home. Yeah, I think it was only a mile and a half or something. But
he would just call it out, like brake, gas.
I can't remember, man. Honestly, I can't remember.
You just remember doing it?
Yeah, I remember doing it, and then I did it again when I was in middle school, but it was with my high school, because I played football, and I. Like a lot of the high school people I hung out with, I was all, bro, I remember this time I used to, push my dad's pedals, and they're like, thought I was pushing his buttons. I'm like, no, I do that too, but pedals. No, like his pedals, like I was on the floorboard pushing it, and they were directing me.
So how did it? You said it happened again. Who allowed you to do it the second time?
Ah, man, who was it? It was in my vehicle, but it was Matt Hernandez.
So it's like a buddy.
Yeah, I told his first and last name. You know why? Because he don't care.
He's also out there having kids pedal his car around.
I hope so.
What if he never grew up? He's just
No, he did. He grew up. He's married. He takes care of actually clinically insane people in Lubbock, Texas. I'm like, what
if he tells the same story about you and he's like, I used to take care of this clinically insane guy who was always trying to push my pedals.
And I had to let him go.
Yeah. I'll tell him, you stop pushing those pedals, Wade. And he wouldn't stop.
I wouldn't stop, man. I would stop. Well, I did stop. I think we hit a T-post or something. Like we hit something.
This is so stupid, dude. That's so funny though. That's like one of those like that's the best stories, man, where you look back like, I Could have died, but it's funny to talk about it now.
Yeah, well, I lived in the country, honestly. Like I was
could have guessed
bored.
that.
I was bored when I was a kid. Like a lot of us were bored. This is a tiny little town. I think the town had almost 1,000 people. I think it had like
that's literally a small town.
Yeah, it was like had including the ranches around. I think it had like 900 and something. I can't quite remember that, but I remember I was infatuated with because they just put up those signs, population so and so, and I was like, whoa, that's how many people live here.
It's like a lot.
Yeah, I'm gonna go get stoned.
I'm gonna go push all their pedals. You know, that's how I'm gonna remember you now, right?
Yeah, push all the pedals.
The next time me and you are going somewhere, I'm like, wait, come get these pedals, man.
I was like, I got you, man. I got you. But I got it right upside down, man. I gotta really feel these pedals out. Oh my God.
Well, I promise to never let you do that, by the way.
I wouldn't do it, man. If I did it, please
We'd
make sure I get home right, because that's got to be ridiculous at that point.
You mentioned that you're from a small town. What town is it?
Carrizozo.
Which is the small town outside of Ruidoso, right?
Yeah, it's below Nogales, actually. It's on Highway 54.
No gal? There's no girls there? No gal.
No gals allowed.
We got high gas prices and methamphetamines.
Actually, there's a meth house that blew up there one time.
Every small town has a meth problem.
An explosion.
Not everyone. I shouldn't say things fake like that. But the smaller, have you ever been to TRC recently?
No.
They have, recently. Do you know they have neighborhood watch programs? Like the movie, there's a movie about it. And if you go to TRC, they have meth watch. And I swear to God, there's signs up like all over the town. Like, so
really?
you'll be at a stop sign, you'll look over and it's like, this is a meth watch town. I guess that's how bad it is. There's like a group of people that just like hunt meth.
You know what? I do believe it, because it's a problem, man. Honestly, like in the smaller towns, like people say, oh, not my small town, but are you really lying to yourself? Or at that point?
I feel like it's the opposite though. I feel like people know. Like everyone that I know that's from a small town, if it's not meth, there's some issue there. What else is there to do? If you go to I'm not saying there's no drug issues in big cities. There clearly is.
There is, but it's so spread out that you never really.
And I know we're shedding light on this, and I'm not trying to make it funny, but it is a serious topic. If you go to a smaller city, the smaller the city is, there's less opportunity, there's less sports, there's less care, there's more of that small village vibe. And so you tend to like get into substances more. And so those towns are usually some of the craziest house parties because they're not going to clubs and stuff like that. They'll just have a dude at his house that's throwing a barbecue and people are doing keg stands and crazy stuff. Or
we're out in the middle of nowhere with a bonfire.
We're talking about that earlier. Yeah. I feel like that's a lost art. Like I had a few friends from bigger cities come visit, and they just think it's weird that it's like a thing we do here. They're like, "What?
Dude,
you guys
it's
just
so awesome!" Like
it is
literally, it's awesome. You know what really pisses me off? Sorry.
What really grinds my gears?
I popped a little bit, but no. You know what really irritates the hell out of me and pisses me off?
Let's hear it.
It's like when I'm backpacking or camping or something, and there's a neighbor or some kind of fellow backpacker or something that'll start a fire and not put it out and decide to just leave it.
You're like Smokey the Bear. Do you tell him to put it out?
No, dude, we literally talked about doing a YouTube channel, but we realized, oh man, we get in a lot of fights with this.
Just going around putting people's fires out.
No, find them and just talk mad shit to them and just like provoke them. Be like, you're useless. You're gonna burn our forest. Like, just like actually like start crap with them,
or get like a full blown camera crew that like To Catch a Predator. But it's like, But it's like
to catch a.
What would that? What do you think the word be?
To catch a pyro? Not even pyros. What? I'm a
negligent camper.
A negligent camper.
No, we got to come up with something more catchy.
Hey, we're here to capture a negligent camper.
Yeah. Are you guys negligizing out here in the forest?
Hey, I see that log smoldering.
Use like terms. They're like, come on, man. We get it. You're into fire. Just start using like weird fire terms. Yeah. The aroma is blistering. Do you know how many CEUs are coming off that flame right now? Just start making up shit that's not real.
There's so much CEUs that I got IBUs of impeccable amounts.
Bring out the holy water. We're going to put this fire out. Dude, and then
you got it.
But then you come out with a whole film crew. So then you make it that. You ever seen To Catch a Predator?
Yeah. You know, with the film crew,
when the cameras come out, they feel like that, and that's how you get.
And they won't kick your ass.
Yes.
They won't. Well,
some of them try to.
Yeah,
but they'll feel the shame.
You know, I just realized.
Fires are a big issue.
I just put out there that everybody's gonna kick my ass. They won't kick your ass.
That guy sounds like a bitch. If he breaks my fire up, I got him.
Yeah, I got him where I want him. but no, you don't, bro. I got my camera crew behind me. Yo, hold me back. Hold me back.
What if we really did that, man? And it was just like a show about like making people feel bad. Dude, we would stop so many forest fires because that's like a big issue right now.
I would show them fires and the stuff that happened. I'd be like, this is what you could have caused, but I caught you.
And then we'll film their guilted face, like like on an iPad.
Yeah,
like this is what you've done.
Yeah,
and then we'll show them like not even a fire near them. We'll show them like it's like a montage of you like pouring like water on a fire.
I'm watering my grapes.
It's like a poor production. You're like throwing animals in the fire. Like, look, see, I saw you do that. Nope, that was you. You did that.
What are we talking about again?
I don't know. About starting our own show where we shame campfire non-putter outers. Bro, I think we can make that into a show.
Dude, it's going to take a lot of work because we're going to have to hike a long ways.
It's going to be very hot, yeah.
And we might not get lucky. Like, what if we
3 weeks?
We spend like 6 days out there and we're like, ooh, I think I got one. And we roll up and they're like, perfect. They all got everything.
We filmed a fourth of an episode in 3 weeks. They all put their fires out. They're very sweet.
Yeah.
We need more conflict. We start paying actors to like aggressively like.
I need you to attack me.
Yeah. Tell me that you're the fire king and you ain't going to listen to some peasant.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, man. That's so funny. No, man. How do we even get in that conversation? Oh, fires. You were talking about backpacking.
No, I don't even think I was talking about backpacking.
You mentioned backpacking.
I did mention backpacking.
There was a reason.
Yeah, there was a reason.
It's gone. Remember. All right. So
it is gone. Let's go.
If that's not a real show, no one stole our idea. We're totally making that show.
Yeah, copyright it.
We got to get on that. Anyways, we kind of got off subject, which is the whole.
We're talking about Carrizozo and we're talking about small towns.
Yes.
And,
so tell me about Carrizozo.
It's actually fun. I'm kind of glad I grew up there.
You have family there still?
My dad. He's the only one that's still there. But,
do you think growing up in a small town like allowed you to move to a bigger city and like function like a normal human being? Not that this is a big city, but it's bigger than where you're at.
Yeah. Well, I kind of played my first I moved from Carrizozo to Ruidoso. Okay. And I decided,
which is an upgrade.
Ruidoso. Yeah, exactly. It's an upgrade. It's literally like an elevation upgrade too.
Yeah. I love that place, man. I love going there.
Yeah. So I ended up, when I lived in Carrizozo, I got a job at a golf course. Oh my God. Put a young high schooler in a golf course.
What was your job there?
Maintenance crew. So literally we weed eat, and then they decided to hire me full time. I was like, what?
The way you say it. Like,
yeah. I was like, what? Yeah. I got a full-time job. And they're like, yeah, if you want it. I was like, I'll take it. 5 years later, I finally left. I ended up working there for 5 years.
So you're pretty familiar with it. Did you ever golf or you just work there?
Yeah. We had I took advantage of that. I was like, I could golf anywhere for free.
Did they let you?
Yeah, but we got in trouble quite a bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the thing?
Especially when we turned 21.
So my brother works at a golf course now, and then my family's big golfers. So I love this conversation. What's the thing? Don't they like take part, like when people drive?
Take out divots?
And then they put new grass in there? Is that how does that? Or they put sand?
Oh, you're talking, yeah, sand. It's sand, and then eventually you'll come back and do like an aeration, or you'll do a seeding. Usually it's a whole process.
What is the point of the sand? What is that solving?
Honestly, I have no idea.
Just so no one hits there.
I couldn't tell to make it look good. So you can still put a T in it. I don't know. Oh no. Like don't get me wrong. We would put the sand. Like if the golfer didn't put the sand, but usually a golfer will they have like in their cart, they'll have their own sand, and they'll usually fill it up, and then we'll come back through like I don't know, a few days later or something, and we'll just like you get a job. You're like, well, I'm gonna go do some seeding. And you'll just go and like. You'll poke holes into that sand area, and then you'll spread a little bit of seed there, and then you'll just cover it up. Because most of the time, golfers won't put back into that
same spot.
Put their tee back into that sand.
I know very little about golf, other than
I don't know crap about golf. Honestly,
I just know Tiger Woods banged all those chicks. That's about as much as I know about golf.
Look where that got him. He's struggling.
Didn't he win again after that though?
Yeah. Oh, he won a lot.
Did he really?
Yeah. Well,
that's how much I don't watch golf.
I don't know how much he won, but. Man, he's walking right now. He's after that car wreck, like his leg was shattered, but he's
I
going
didn't
through
even
the
think of that.
PGA. Yeah, he's
I don't think a lot of people thought of that. I think we all thought of his mental health. We forgot that he got injured.
oh, man. Okay, like that's got to do a lot to your mental health. You're like, damn, my leg really hurts right now.
Tiger Woods all jacked up. I wonder why. Well, because he literally got jacked up, man. He's having a hard time.
Yeah.
They showed us a Tiger Woods doc. I played basketball in high school, and they showed us a Tiger Woods documentary because they were like, they wanted us, even though it's a different sport, they're like, guy is the best work ethic ever. And it was so good. Like the amount of effort, time, and dedication that guy, this is pre when he got in trouble. And I'm sure he still has the same dedication. The amount of stuff that guy did just to stay in shape, just to practice his swing. Like that guy is out of his mind.
I don't think anybody cares what he does on the side. As soon as he step on that golf course, he's Tiger Woods.
I don't think anyone cares anymore. Everyone destroyed that guy in the media, though. And I talked about this on a previous podcast where it's like, I think what his issue is that his level of expectation, he was the golden boy. He was the all-American guy. Mm-hmm. But yet you take a rapper or like a politician that gets busted for similar things. We expect that out of those guys. And so it's not a big deal. But what Tiger did,
when the golden child gets busted,
let's destroy him everywhere online. And so I felt bad for him. I guess, damn, this is how you get canceled right here. I felt bad for the women too. I didn't never follow the full story. Apparently he didn't do anything to these girls. He just cheated on his wife, right? Is that the story?
Yeah. He wasn't like Bill Cosby.
Yeah, he wasn't like giving him his specialty.
Yeah. His pudding pop.
Pudding pop. How bad was that one, man? That was.
I didn't expect that because I grew up with Bill Cosby.
Yes, I think they were about to drop a documentary on Netflix about him like 2 weeks before Hannibal Buress did his joke, and that's what blew the whole thing up. And he was like America's dad, and he was going to make probably millions off that.
Funny story. I met Bill Cosby. I worked a show.
It's a little hazy, but
he at the catering, he had like a variety of pudding pops.
Did he really?
No. Okay, so no, I was one of the camera guys, and I remember his producer was there, and he was the one calling the shots, and there was 3 cameras, and I was on the side stage, so I was like really close to him.
What were you filming though? Like a commercial?
No, they were just putting him up on the jumbotron.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was just basically we're there to project his image out to the theater, and my shot was literally right here, and he was in a chair like this, and they told me, they're like, well, Bill Cosby doesn't move, so you could just lock it off.
He doesn't move.
Yeah, and
we asked him to. He's been there all week.
So most of the time, like comedy shows, people love comedy shows, but when I worked them, I found myself falling asleep because I'm wearing clear comm.
His stand-up comedy.
Yeah, his stand-up comedy.
Got you.
Yeah. I should have clarified that.
No. It's okay. I got you.
Yeah, I'm not filming his TV show. I'm not that deep.
It was just me and him in a dressing room. It was weird.
Yeah, just putting a mic on him. Like,
I don't remember drinking, but I felt pretty drunk.
Yeah.
Is it too soon? Can we make fun of Cosby yet?
No.
Did you see him going into prison with his filmed eyes? The dude can't even see straight anymore. I'm like, oh man.
I would too, man. Look at him. Oh damn! I'm about to go to purgatory.
That was a big deal, man, because he portrayed a certain person.
Well, yeah. With a bunch of kids.
Apparently, they knew this stuff for years. Like if you talk to people in Hollywood, they're like, we always heard stuff.
Yeah, and I was like, why did they allow him to do kids say the darnest things?
Yes, and then he was in apparently the girl from That's So Raven was in the Cosby show.
Yeah.
And I guess she was another one of the victims.
Yeah. I
Raven
forgot
Simone.
about that. Mm-hmm.
And she came out. That was a big one,
Dude,
too.
I used to have a crush on her when I was
really?
younger. Yeah. I was like, damn, I'm in this small town. I'm like, how do I make it big?
That's that small town shit right there. I'm telling you. Because it was those sitcoms were like, it's hard to find a good one now.
Yeah.
But those back in the day, that was
a thing.
Yeah.
Like you'd come home from work, you come home from school. Like I literally, as much as our family really didn't get along, we'd all sit down and watch a sitcom, like several of them.
And they were all in a row. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like one of those things. Like I remember being a little kid and just like on my stomach watching like the cheesy ass movies they put out now where they portray Like,
sitcoms.
yeah.
They did.
Well, no, they portray the late 80s of people watching or the early 90s people watching.
They were so sucked into the tube.
Yeah, the tube, the actual tube. Like if you actually shot this TV, it'd blow up.
Yeah.
It's a freaking tube.
Yeah. That's wild to think how far we've come.
I know.
It's crazy. I think that happened to Cosby. But it makes me think about, do you watch true crime at all or anything like that?
Nah, I really don't.
I'm like massively into it. And the amount, like the Ted Bundy one, there's a ton of good ones, or interesting ones, I should say. But the amount of crime that went on back in the day that people got away with blows my mind.
Yeah,
and
right?
you have to assume that there's for sure murderers, if not just major criminals, even if they didn't kill anyone, that just got away with it a lot back then.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to this day, some of them might be someone's grandpas that are watching right now. Like literally, like that's a pretty nowadays you're probably gonna get popped.
I remember killed that man. I'm like, what?
Yeah. When we're kids, like grandpa's crazy. We're like, now that I'm older and I know, I'm like, grandpa might have done it.
Well, I remember it wasn't actually that long ago. It was right after my mom passed away. I sat down and I recorded my dad. Because I knew my dad went through a lot of stuff, especially his family, his mom being from Mexico. He talked about, he was the youngest of all his siblings. He had 2 sisters and an older brother. And he literally, that whole thing where like, oh, I'm going to take my sibling's place during the draft and everything. He actually did that to his brother because his brother was supposed to marry a girl from Mexico. So he actually went to Vietnam.
Wait,
willingly.
Was it an option to take someone's place, or was the marriage part of it?
Well,
what were the rules?
Man, I really don't know.
The oldest son, right?
Yeah,
was the one that was eligible
his oldest
for the draft.
son. Yeah, and the rule was only one of the sons had to go.
It didn't have to be the oldest.
Well, I guess not, because he went, but it ended up his brother ended up getting killed, and when he showed up back from Vietnam, being all messed up, he got shot and everything, and he comes home to find out his brother ended up getting killed, and he tells me, he's like, yeah, so I went to Vietnam for nothing. And you're curious at that point. You're like, what happened over there? Like, what?
Did you ever ask him?
Oh yeah.
And that's what you're saying you filmed?
No, I didn't film it. I recorded it
like audio.
Yeah, audio. So
what was that like, man?
Dude, honestly, it was uneasy. Some of the stuff he told me, like, it was like, wow. Like, I don't even think half the people in this nation can comprehend what some of those guys did or had happened to them.
Or even witnessed in a lot of times.
The witness part, yeah, a lot of people can comprehend that, but some of the choices they had to make, that's the kicker. That's the kicker.
I'm incorporating that too, but sometimes the most traumatic things aren't what happened to you, but the people's reaction to what happened. So like witnessing someone have to make a decisive choice that we may not think is humane or maybe like outside the box. Like, yes, I'm not taking away from the people that actually made the choice, but some of the people that actually witnessed someone else do it, that messes with you too. So the whole thing is just like an entire box of like hard to comprehend situations. Is that how, like, what would you say? Talk about what you're comfortable with, but do you when you heard those stories, and you don't have to give me any of the stories, like, did it change your opinion of your dad?
Yeah. Because honestly, when I was younger, I hated him.
Okay.
Like, I would do everything to disobey him, despise him. I even stole his truck once and went and raised hell in like several towns around Carrizosa. Like there's Capitan, Ruidoso. Like I took his truck everywhere. Like I spent all night, and then by the time I got home, the sun was rising.
I bet you had some other kid working your pedals, man.
Yeah, his name was Teddy.
I just picture you as like a serial pedal kidnapper. What do you want to do to me sexually, sir? Nothing. Just work these pedals.
You
swear I'll go home afterwards? Yes. I'm drunk and I'm trying to get home.
I learned for the best.
Everyone knows if you don't work the pedals, it doesn't count. I'm so sorry to ruin your story. I really think it was going to a serious spot. But when you said he stole his truck, I just pictured some dude working the pedals.
It was me working the pedals. I had to find a driver, but I worked them pedals.
So you didn't.
I was pedaling.
So you didn't have a good relationship with your dad to start with.
No, none of us did really.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a pretty shitty childhood experience, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know it at the time, but like I would go over and stay with some of my friends and stuff. Like, you know, have the sleepovers and everything when you're younger, and you're like, can I stay? I don't want to go back home. Like, it's one of those moments you're like, oh crap, man. Cause sometimes he would just like have moments that would just trigger him so badly that it would just scare the shit out of you. You're like, what is he gonna do?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a weird thing. It felt normal to me and my brother. Because I grew up with my brother. My brother's 7 years older than me.
Mm-hmm.
And we have two half sisters on my dad's side, but they were already moved out by then. And yeah, it was just one of them strange experiences. But I remember there'd be times when I was a little kid and I'd go with him because he was a contractor. He would build houses. So I would go with him as a young kid to these sites, and I would just like play around until he was done for the day.
Mm-hmm.
He'd take me back home. But yeah, there was moments where it was just like shit would go awry, you know? Things would happen. Someone would come over. He'd get in a fight with his friend. I remember one time a recruiter came over and he was drunk and he pulled a pistol out on him right in front of us.
Like a military recruit?
Yeah. Yeah. He came over because I guess my brother, I don't know, something was going on. But yeah, he pulled a pistol out on this guy. And we're like, whoa, what's going on? And he like held the pistol until he got into his vehicle and drove away.
Was it a lot of PTSD, do you think?
I think so. I really do. I really do think so. He would have moments. I think there was one point he, like when I was younger, he said he can't drink hard alcohol anymore because it just sends him over the edge. And when we take him to the like hospital or something, we tell him not to give him any kind of morphine or oxycodone or anything that would alter his mood because he'd flip out. Like he tore up a hospital room one time because they gave him morphine for a broken hand, and he like threw his bed over, or like threw the mattress over.
He was mad if they gave him morphine, or the morphine.
No, he thought he was in another place. He started hallucinating.
Because morphine's typically a sedative, so
yeah.
That must have been a reflection on how much built up.
I know, right?
The guy had in him, yeah.
Yeah. Well, he was a corpsman, and a corpsman. He was a medic basically in Vietnam. So like when I was recording him, he told me we were going through a bunch of pictures, and he was showing me, and he would go through the story of this guy that he knew, because eventually being there for like, I don't know, 2 to 4 years, you get to know a lot of people. You see him eventually, like throughout time. And he had pictures that prove that like, oh, this is when I first got here. And then later on, he has the same picture of the guy like 2 years later. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's crazy. But sometimes he would like land on a picture and he was like, he just kind of stop and think. He wouldn't tell me. And I'm like, I knew. And he's like, he's not with us. And I'm like, I bet you he like saw something that just ruined him at that point. Cause you could tell like when he first got there, he was excited to tell me all this, like throughout this chronological photo album he had, he was like really excited. But as we got on, he got quieter,
started piling up,
quieter until he just started spilling these stories that I was just like, what are you like? Are you serious? That happened?
Well, that kind of goes back to what I was talking about, and medic is the perfect example. And I think that's one of the toughest jobs, even a medic in the U.S., but for sure a medic in the Army, because it's not so much the trauma that you went through, but witnessing, and they call it secondary trauma, where like he's literally seeing people blown up, hurt, whatever it is, probably talking to them, the people that were able to talk. He's hearing like their last words every day, multiple times a day for all those years. Yeah. There's no way that you come out of that feeling great about your life. And I'm not at all making excuses for the person he was outside of that. But I that's kind of my work field now. And so I kind of relate to that a little bit. I had a terrible relationship with my dad. And I kind of in my work now understand like the stuff that people go through. And I would never make excuses for the decisions that people make, but I definitely understand the mental health side of it, where like that's not easy, man. I always tell people like it's there's a cliche where it's like if you go to counseling, it's a bad thing. My whole family's counselors. My girl's a counselor. My parents are counselors. They have a counseling service here in town. I go to counseling. Like we all embrace it. We have like a theme in our family where like we don't shame counseling here. Like, and it's a cliche thing where it seems weak, but it's not at all. Because back in the day when people went through stuff like that, if there was those options available to them, which there was to a certain extent, but just not to the level we have today, like the amount of help we could have helped those people out is tremendous. My dad passed away because he had an alcohol issue. and I had a grandfather that was in the invasion of Normandy. He was in D-Day. And
man.
I have multiple sides of the trauma, you know what I mean? But I always think, and maybe this is like the helper side in me, like to think outside the box, and to like, in America, we're so closed off and everything's pharmaceuticals. Like, let's get them some meds.
Yeah.
And I'm not a fan of that. And it sounds like you're not either, because you mentioned telling them like, don't give them any morphine and things like that.
Yeah.
There's huge studies about more natural things that you can do that are super duper helpful for people with PTSD. They have one in Amsterdam right now, which is super liberal. You can do almost anything there. They were the first weed spot, remember? Like back in the day, like, I'm going to Amsterdam to smoke weed.
All I did was land in Amsterdam and then catch my connecting flight.
Yeah, they're like, we're going to run into some turbulence here from all the weed smoke, but we'll be down shortly.
I don't even remember it.
Yeah. Cosby. That's where I met Cosby.
All them pudding pops.
But they have it. Yeah, they have in Amsterdam MDMA bars, where you can literally go to an MDMA bar without a prescription, and you can take a session. You can literally book the way we would book a massage here in the U.S.
Yeah.
If you're a military soldier, which they don't have a lot of there, but a lot of military soldiers here go there for this reason. You can go to an MDMA bar and you can sit down with a therapist. They give you MDMA, which is ecstasy. Not like the ecstasy we have here in the U.S. because it's regulated by the government. So they make sure it's pure MDMA. And you can sit there for an hour or 2 hours and have a session while you're essentially rolling with the therapist. And they have a bunch of studies showing that it's super duper helpful for soldiers that went through trauma, that are struggling with PTSD. Yeah. The serotonin kicks up in your body. You're able to talk about things you wouldn't normally talk about. And when you come off of it.
That's the thing. You nailed it right on the head. Talk about things that they normally would not talk about.
Yeah. And you have to give someone a reason. And then what right, unless you were also there, do you have to give someone a reason to talk about it?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
So then you're when you do MDMA, your body wants to get that stuff out. You feel lovely, you feel less judged, and it releases your inhibitions a little bit, and you're able to talk about it. And when they come down, they literally give them a plan. If you're too jacked up still, they'll drive you home, and then you go from there. And you can go back in and do another session.
Damn.
And it's supposedly worked wonders specifically for soldiers.
Damn. I couldn't even imagine taking my dad to another country right now, man. Every time I like travel,
yeah,
he's like, "You're gonna get killed."
There's alternatives.
Like, what are you
Ask me
about?
when we're off the podcast. There's ways to do something similar in the U.S. But it's the moral of it is right, like, because we have these loved ones that, like, it's crazy, like you can't help who you belong to. And I'm a foster care kid. I grew up in foster care, so I have a dynamic with my biological family, and then I have my adoptive family.
Yeah,
and the amount of trauma I went through as a kid is enormous. And when I see people now that knew me back then, they're always like I'm surprised you didn't do some crazy shit. Because most of the kids I was hanging out with back then did, because I handled my life a little bit differently. And I got very lucky, and I ended up on the other end with some great adoptive families and family, and I ended up with a great wife. I ended up with great friends. And that's why I do the podcast. Like, I love meeting people and taking the best parts of them and incorporating it into who I am as a human being, because I didn't have a father to do that.
Yeah.
But the amount of love and the amount of care that I have for the people in my life that didn't do well is enormous. And so when I hear you, which I appreciate you telling that story, by the way, because I relate to you in so many ways. It's like the things we'll do to save the ones we love.
Even after you hated them for so long. And
that's fair, right?
Yeah.
Like, I bet if you asked him, I don't know your dad, but I bet if you asked him, he'd be like, that's fair. I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, no, we've had conversations ever since then. Like,
so what's your relationship like today, if you don't mind me asking?
It's good. It's good. Yeah. I show up. He's hard of hearing, so I just yell a lot. And, it talks about, it's very simple. I should say it's just very simple. He just wants to enjoy his last days. I mean, his leg is given out. He's a wounded soldier, Purple Heart, everything. Like, he told me about all that. Like, I always thought he was lying about getting injured, because, like, every time he talked about it, he was drunk, so it'd be like exaggerated. But then he finally told me the real story, and I was like, damn, that's way worse than what you were saying. Like, what do you, like, you had to sit out there for that long, shot up, waiting for a chopper to come and get you, and then you had to spend time in, like, Japan while in the med bay until you're able to get released to go to the United States again. Like, that's a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he spent like almost 8 months to a year traveling back to the U.S. after he got wounded. And he was wounded on his last mission. and they got pinned down. I was like, wow, that sucks. I mean, it's gotta be like one of those things like you know, I always think like you're super excited, but I like just hear or watch like true stories and stuff. And like, I don't know, man, you can't really relate yourself if you're never went through anything like that. And you're just like, I can't imagine what a bunch of these guys had to go through. Like that's rough. That's rough. And I commend every one of them, even the people that are just going through tough times, and people will look at them back here in the American soil and just be like, oh, you know what? I can't believe you did what you did. You're like, did they have a choice?
That's always a weird argument, but
Yeah.
people do that. Like it's hard. I mean, I do like to think that we live in a country where we kind of like idolize soldiers, which I think we should. But it is weird that some people will look at someone a different way. I don't. Okay, I thought of something in my head. I probably don't want to go there with it. But I think it's weird that we have criminals here that do something that someone overseas will do, and they try to relate it, and it's very different, right? Unless you're willing to go over there and do the same thing, then you probably shouldn't.
Don't get me wrong. There is people over there that go and like completely bash the name of being a U.S. soldier or just being a soldier in general. It doesn't matter what country you're from.
Well, most of them are young. We have to remember that. Like,
true.
The Army likes to get them young.
Yeah, because you have nothing. You're like, what do I do? I need a job. I need money. It's one of them things. I remember they almost got me, and I was about to go.
I almost went too.
Yeah.
They did it. They stopped taking people that didn't graduate high school. So even when I got my GED, it wasn't an option. I think now you can.
I think so, yeah.
But there was a time where you couldn't, because I had a buddy that was like going to high school. I won't say his name, but he was a 21-year-old high school kid.
Oh man!
So he was buying us alcohol and stuff because it was his third time doing his senior year.
High school kid in the world.
He was so cool. He was very small, by the way, short guy. But at the time, you had to get your diploma, and he really wanted to be in the Army. So, and he did, by the way. So he finished it. It took him a long time, but he went through. But that's how I always remember that, because I remember telling him, like, why don't you just like go anyways? Get your GED. He's like, you can't have your GED, which now I think you can.
Yeah. And yet, man, I have so many friends that have joined the National Guard, joined the Army, the Air Force, and I still talk to them to this day, and they're just great people, honestly. Like, I like ask them, like, how is it like traveling with the family nonstop? Like, you're constantly going base to base to base to base to base. Like, and the good ones really stick it out.
Have you ever talked to someone that you know? Because it sounds like you for sure know through your dad. I know a lot of like people that did a tremendous amount of things in the military, whatever branches. Have you ever talked to someone that you know is full of shit? And I know it sounds bad, but they're like, I did this and that. And I'm like, I know someone who did those similar things, and they talk about it very differently. So I'm starting like, I never say anything, but I'll like real quick go like, I don't think you did that. I think movies, and I hate this, by the way, and I hope I'm wrong.
The media. I was going to get into that. I was like, the media, oh man.
But it makes it a certain way to where the people that come back that didn't do anything, or sometimes much, I think they all do something. So I'll go with didn't do much. They'll tell a story about some crazy shit they did, and we respect it because we know for sure they're in the military. But then I'll hang around that same person around a person that I know did some shit, and their stories will change a little bit. And I'm like, they did it because
they're
know,
intimidated,
and they know this guy will know that I didn't do that.
Yeah,
that guy did it. You
yeah,
know what
exactly.
I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I personally, I don't know. I don't know half the stuff. Like sometimes I question myself. Am I saying that right?
Yeah. Well, we don't really know because we weren't in it, but
yeah.
I think I like to think I'm pretty good at spotting someone that's like, because I've had a few people try to bullshit me about some stuff.
Well,
I'm like, I don't think that's how it works, man.
I think you're on the same page. But one of the things I do is I ask questions and I listen, because being working in the film industry, one of the things an old gentleman told me was like, if you want to ever make it in this industry and get respect, listen, talk less, listen more.
Yeah, 2 ears and 1 mouth. They used to always say that.
Yeah.
Listen more than you talk. I think you for sure do that. And I for sure do that too, because I think that's a product of not being heard a lot when you're a kid. I think that you naturally talk a little bit more when you're older, but the ability to gather information is amazing. Yeah. Like if you can take a moment to try to really break down what someone's saying, like the amount of stuff you'll get from it, even if they're lying, like you now know how to spot people lying about that thing or whatever it is. Well, I like to listen to everyone. My job requires me to do it now. And then before that, I sold cars, which is like all listening. If you're a good car salesman, you'll do more listening than talk. In the commercials, like, hi, welcome in, come over here.
I was about to say,
we're rolling back prices.
Hey, the media is portraying it way differently.
Yes. And those guys don't sell cars, by the way. The guys that do that, come over here. I'll tell you right now, we got this amazing car door. It's a V6. No one else has gas mileage like this.
Because they're looking at everybody and they're like, well, he doesn't do much for the car lot. Get him on the commercial.
Yeah. Well, even like there's dudes that will do that aren't even on a commercial. That's how they sell cars. Yeah. And you know what's funny or ironic is that guy will sell a few cars every now and then, and he'll think like, this works for me. It's not sustainable.
I'm on top of the world. Yeah.
And those dudes will keep doing it. But I always sold cars. I would listen a lot. And I'm bad at names. I'll call myself out on that. You could literally walk into a car lot and be like, my name is Wade. And in 5 seconds, I'm like, fuck. Like, and I'll have like, hey, let me see your driver's license real quick so I can scan it.
You're all kind of like,
Wade. Hey, Wade. Like, that's how I would get people's names. So I sucked at that. But I was really good at listening, going back to what you were saying. And I would listen to what they said because they're giving me the information that I need to sell them a car. And these other guys weren't doing that. Some of them were. I don't want to say that. But like when they were like, oh yeah, like I just came in today. I had a break from work. So boom. All right, I know they work. I need to find out where they work. If they work far, they might need a car for that. That might be the reason they're wanting the car.
Or do they haul stuff?
Or do they come with their family? Truck. Yes.
So exactly.
I'm just gathering information based off what they said. So I would just listen a lot. Mm-hmm. And people want to be sold. That's a big myth is people always think that people are scared at lots. They are because of those dumbass commercials in the movies. They're nervous. But if you just work past that and get to know someone, like you'll understand that like they really do want to buy a car. They're just nervous to talk about it. And then once you get them to talk about it, you'll make sense to them. You'll help them get out of their own way. Because they'll make up stuff like,
that's
it's
true.
just not the right time. I'm like, all right, well, when is the right time? You don't literally say that, but you'll be like, all right, like how do you picture having a car? What is your budget? If I can break down the numbers with you, like, and I could show you that you could afford it, would you get one? And if it comes out that you can afford one, then I'll walk you out right now. That's fair, right?
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Like, I already got you to agree to that.
Yeah.
And that's all car sales is
are you selling an SUV?
You're about to buy a car for me before you leave here today, huh?
Yeah.
That's
no, I'm serious. Do you got a car? No.
I will hook you up with some good salesmen that are still in the industry.
I'm just messing with
you.
I know. I don't need a car. I don't need a car.
I'm just saying that you're right. You have to listen way more. And I think it's a lost thing. Did you just sip into the mic?
Yeah.
You mic sipper.
Sorry.
No.
Yeah. No, you do got to listen. You do got to listen. Oh, so that brings me to just like what we're doing now.
Okay.
We're doing a documentary.
What?
And I can't say what documentary right now because we're still under like NDA. But some of the stories we've heard are from people that weren't from they're from overseas.
Okay.
So they came over as kids. Well, we haven't interviewed one of them yet, but we're about to. And she's 98. And she agreed to it. And it's like, oh my God, she's a celebrity. Like, not like the typical celebrity, like the celebrity that you respect.
Yeah.
You go, oh man, that's who you're interviewing. Like community wise, you go, wow, that's impressive.
Got you.
And that's one of the things that I really enjoyed and I found a passion about is like, I love doing commercials. I love doing all kinds of video projects. It's just fun. I love to like think outside the box, especially when people are open to being different, being like, oh, let's do this. But when I started doing the documentary, like there was a couple times I teared up, like listening to these people's stories as kids. I'm like, these people are way older than me, but the struggles they go through, like that's what you talk about. It's like listening, asking the right questions, but not interrupting them while they're trying to talk, because that was one thing I had to get used to. It's like, conversating is completely different when you're doing a documentary. You gotta interview and not talk. So
that
it's
must
like
be
you want to go, yeah, you want to get into the story, but you can't. You're just like,
so you got to say it with your eyes. Yeah, I'm doing it right now.
You gotta speak with your eyes.
I'm trying to get better at that, even with the podcast, because I will tend to be like, okay, what's up? What do you mean by that? And I'm trying to stay out of it a little bit more. So you did the actual interview?
No. Well, so the first couple we did. The first couple we did
Were
the
you the
actual
one-
interview.
Were you the one asking questions, or are you
Yeah,
witnessing? Okay.
No, the first, because actually, like, we went above and beyond. Like, people are going to see this documentary and they're not going to know what actually happened behind the scenes. But I kind of, I want to put that out there because there was a lot.
Some
It was
bonus
during
footage or
COVID,
something, yeah.
and so many loved ones died during this documentary that there was a lot of struggle going on. There still is a lot of struggle going on, but we're prevailing. We're pushing past it. But the beauty about it was us as a production company, we could just be like, here, where's our check? And that's it. But no, instead, we took one step further and did more and extended everything. Like, all right. And when you're like, oh, you're going to extend this? Does that mean I have to pay extra? It's like, no, this is a set price. You'll pay it off, but we're going to keep going because we believe in this story and we don't care about the money anymore. Like, if it takes 3 years to do this, we'll still put in the blood, sweat, and tears, even when we expected to do it in a year. So that's the thing that I think set us apart in her eyes and everyone's eyes, like the community. Like, we go there and it's so strange because I remember when we first showed up, they asked if we're from New York or from LA. Those are the first two questions. Mm-hmm. And they joked about it, just saying, all right, you could cover up the hole. I was like, they're talking about burying us. Yeah, killing us and burying us on the back because we're producers from New York or LA. I'm like, no, we're from this area. We're like, we all understand this entire area. And then after that, like, it completely changed the dynamic.
Because you're more relatable.
They trust us now. They trust us. They ask us questions. Like, there's even a couple times that we kept the camera recording, the audio recording, and we're just shooting the shit with these old school guys.
When do you think that documentary will come out?
2023. I'll put it out 2023.
Do me a favor. When it does come out, come back on here so we can kind of talk about it and promote it. That'd be badass. I know you can't talk about much now.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I'm already interested. And I'm sure the people listening, like, God, I want to hear more about that.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's cool. It spans from Mexico, like the civilization coming from Mexico, coming from Italy. Like, it's just insane. Like, this story is massive, way beyond me.
That's awesome, man. I'm a documentary fiend, man. I will watch that over cinematic stuff any day.
Well, why not watch a cinematic documentary?
What does that even mean?
That means you take time. You go in there. You're not just interviewing people. You're getting their emotions, but you also film it in a way that is very cinematic, very like that brings your emotion to it. Like, if I went in there and I did an interview and I teared up and then I didn't put any effort, like, this guy's telling me a story. I want to go to the places he told me that story. Like, he's talking about memories as a kid with his grandfather. I know it's already 50 years or 60 years down the road. Take me there. So let me film it. Let me film what is going on. Let me film the emotion behind it.
Is that the process of a documentary where you sit down and have the conversation and then you go to some of the places you talked about?
Yeah. Well, that should be. I think that should be. I've seen some that don't portray that. They kind of just, they send it to post-production and it's just like they recreate a bunch of stuff. Mm-hmm. Well, that was the one stipulation they didn't want to do. They said, I don't want to recreate anything. I don't want to have actors come in and recreate
dramatic
this.
Recreation.
Yeah, exactly. They don't want to do any of that.
So they talked, and then you guys visited some of these places with them?
Yeah, but they also put us in touch with people that are going through the same similar story. So it's kind of easier to portray that story. Like, dude, there's a scene in there that's going to blow your mind. It blew my mind. I was like, are we really? This is what we're filming? Like, wow. I don't think anybody, like, you could tell everybody in that area was like, who are these guys? And what are they doing here?
Yeah.
And what are they doing helping us? Like, there would be moments like, so it's one thing filming, but there's another thing when you're in there and you're with them. Like, you're like, can I carry that for you? They look at you differently. They're like, huh, yeah, sure, you can help me. And it's just one of those things, like, I think they're looking at us at a completely different light. They're like, wow, these guys have no fear. They'll just jump in wherever they want.
Yeah.
But a respectful way. Like, it's like, hey, I want to film from up here, but can I carry this up there for you? And then it's like, you ever seen that movie Ghost in the Darkness?
Mm-mm.
Oh man, there's a scene in it where they're in Africa and these lions are attacking and killing people, and these guys from Europe are down there trying to build a railroad, but eventually, like, a lot of them are like, oh, I'm too rich, I can't be down here. But some of them stay and they're like, I'll get in there with you and I'll build these fences with you. But they're the ones that are like portraying everything and, like, you know, trying to put the stories out there and trying to help them build this bridge, but they're getting in there, blood, sweat, and tears. It's like, you know, if you're gonna lead your army, you better be the first in the front line. Honestly.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's gonna respect you if you
Some Game of Thrones shit right there. Do you remember that scene?
Yeah,
I'm like a Game of
yeah.
Thrones guy.
Yeah,
you remember when he's Ramsay Bolton?
Yeah.
When he's like, I have more soldiers than you. And he's like, what will your soldiers think about you when they find out you weren't willing to fight for them?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's
but
like
he's
that
out
same-
there. You know, that's the thing, man. Even in production, I remember being a carpenter for a long time, and like a lot of theater shows, a lot of Broadway shows, from Albuquerque to El Paso to Lubbock to Midland, Odessa to Arizona. And one of the things that I realize about leaders and being a leader is you treat people the same way, even if they just barely came on the set, to the people that are touring.
Yeah.
Like, if that person has a problem with them for being an idiot and not knowing, they're not an idiot. They just don't know. So instead of being an asshole, show them.
Yeah, some people just don't have that. They call it a servant leader. Those are the best kind of leaders. Someone who leads by example and someone who is literally a servant. Like, I'm gonna show you, walk you through this. I'm gonna be on the team with you. Sure, I'll be the leader. I'll be the guy that takes the fall if it doesn't work out. I'll make the executive decisions if you ask me to.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm part of this team. We're all gonna talk about each thing. They say those are the best kinds of leaders because I interview people for positions and stuff like that. That's the main thing I look for when I interview people. What is their ability to lead, but like incorporate the group as opposed to like a dictator? Yes.
Like, if it doesn't work, it doesn't happen, own it.
That's almost inherent, right? Like, you just have to understand that's just what happens. Yeah.
One of my favorite books is by Jocko Willings. I don't know if you know
He's the marathon crazy runner guy, right?
Jocko Willings. I don't know. Does he do marathons?
I don't know. Wait, he's an author?
Well, he wrote a book, but he's a Navy SEAL.
Yes.
Like, extreme ownership.
Bald guy.
Yeah,
black guy.
He's white
mixed.
dude.
Is he? Oh, never mind then. That's not the
Yeah,
guy.
he looks angry all the time.
I'm thinking of a similar guy though, but like, okay. So tell me about this guy.
Oh, well, it just in his book, like, you know, I don't really listen to music very much. I listen more like audiobooks or read book, and I'll listen to
podcasts. Is pretty much audiobooks.
Exactly. Yeah. So he even has his own podcast. And the first time I heard him was through Tim Ferriss. Tim Ferriss interviewed him. And then, of course, Joe Rogan interviewed him. And then he started his own podcast. But one thing he talks about is extreme ownership. And one thing I held closely to that is, you know, you got to own your shit. You're good, your bads, you got to own it. You can't just hide from it. Like, you got to own it. And that'll help you get through life. And, you know, one of the things is working at the golf course. I think back to my boss, and he was a Navy SEAL in Vietnam, and he always had fake teeth, and I used to make fun of him because he's always crunching his teeth. Yeah, and we call him the stealth bomber because he had a little golf cart, and he'd just be and like you'd just basically be fucking off. Yeah, and all of a sudden he's like, "Hey, Wade, where'd you come from?" He's all, "Get in, we need to talk." And we're like, "Oh God, man, he's gonna fire me." So I'd get in, and I remember when I first started there, I'd call in all the time and be like, "I'm too sick," and I'd call in like at 3 a.m. I was just drunk. Mm-hmm. I was hungover. Well, no, I was drunk. I didn't even fall asleep yet. I'd call before I fall asleep because I knew I wasn't gonna wake up. Yeah. So I'd call, and I thought I was getting away with it. One day he got me in his golf cart, and he told me, he's like, "You know, if you keep living your life like this, like a lie, and you keep bullshitting people, they're going to call you out on it. You're not going to make it very far." He's all, "Be a man, own your shit, go to work. if you can't go to work, make it legitimate and at least tell the truth. And I was like, that hit me. That hit me hard.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I very rarely called into work. Like there was times I was driving to work and I was drunk. I was like, I got 2 hours of sleep. And I'd show up to work, but I would hold my composure, and I never got sent home for being like belligerent or anything. But I was like, damn, that was a stupid mistake. Why did I do that?
That's probably the start of your work ethic is like being able to go like, all right, like I should probably make less bad decisions. Yeah. But while I'm making them, I still have these priorities that I got to get done. And I still got to show up. While I'm making them,
I'm going to have fun.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it's not fun to be 3 hours of sleep, but I like the mindset, which is I got to go to work or whatever. You know what I mean? I got to get done what I need to get done. And that's probably why you're so successful at what you do now. We're getting close towards the end here, but let's wrap it up with this. Cause I know you talked a lot about the projects and I'm excited about the documentary and stuff like that. How do you guys take on clients? If someone wanted to find you guys, what's the best way to get a hold of you guys and what kind of stuff do you do?
Oh man. You can definitely find us on Google. You can search Quantum Links Marketing or just QLM Productions. Mm-hmm. You'd be able to find us. We do photography, we do videography, we do marketing plans, campaigns. We do 3D scanning now. We even do installs. Like I use some of my past production experience, and I'll go in and we'll do steel work and everything. And yeah, I'm working with Spencer Theater right now, and we did a lot of their installs for their cloud systems and stuff, bringing it down, destroying it, and putting back up the speakers until the next piece comes in and we put it back up. But I mean, yeah.
So you guys can do pretty much any media. Like, could you do someone's wedding? Like if they wanted you guys to film that? Yeah. Could you do someone's music video?
Yeah. Okay. Actually, we're doing Chris Baker?
I do.
Yeah. We've did pretty much all his videos except 2 off his latest album.
Nice.
But I'm actually editing. When I'm finished here, I'm going to go home and send him the rough draft of one.
Nice.
But yeah, that one was funny. Like, we're like, all right, let's film this in 2 different areas or 3 different areas. One was out in the cold under a street light. Another one was in Little Toad, and then the other one was out in Cloudcroft in the snow. And we had him carry around a torch. Like we doused this torch with helped. Gas, and we just had him run around. We had him fall a few times in this hard snow. And he was like, I can't do that one again. Like that one hurt me pretty bad. I was like, yeah, that's a pretty convincing fall. I don't think you have to do it again.
I would love to be a part of one of those. If you ever just need someone to like hang out, I'm not good at much. I can like motivate. I bet I can make a coffee or something.
You know what? It's not a paid project. It's a free project. It's basically a collaboration of a bunch of different artists who ever want to take part of this. But we're doing a series, a horror series, and we're starting now because we want to release it in October. But we want to really, my basic stipulation with this was, if you guys want to do this, let's do it right. Let's make it gritty. Mm-hmm. I don't want to do a typical jump scare or any of that. I want to do something that you see stuff like happening, like actual like moments, and you're like, oh man, that hurt. Like you think about it a little bit, almost like, remember when they recreated Evil Dead, like recently, where they went out to the cabin and they're showing like arms breaking and fingers being chopped off.
I did not know that.
Oh yeah, that was a gritty movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we don't want to make it like just gory and stuff. We want to tell a story behind it and everything. Yeah. So that's we had a friend. He's actually writing I think he's on his 5th script now, but he's condensed it down, and I'm like really excited about this. I'm like, wow. Our production team will put the best effort in. We're gonna start casting for it this month, and some of the roles is just like we got to find that right person to really play that part.
Well, if you think I can play a part in anything, even if it means the weird guy that shows up and does weird stuff, and just does that, let me know. I did one as an extra with my buddy Anthony Valles that was on here.
Yeah,
and it was just fun just to be there. I was a zombie and I was an extra. It wasn't a big thing, but it was so much fun just being on set, seeing what these guys do and stuff like that. So the next time you have a project or something you need help with, let me know. I will link your info in the description of this video. So if people want to reach out to you for projects, they're welcome to do that.
Yeah, right? Definitely. My name is Cornholio.
You better put that in the text when you text him.
I put TP in my bunghole.
My God. Wade McMahon. Appreciate you, my brother.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank you
for coming
very
by.
much. Oh, definitely.
All right.
Definitely.
We are out, guys.
Later.